Rituals. That is the topic of this video, but also how to upgrade your storm ritual build of some sort. A ritual tutorial video. Dark Ritual is the father of all rituals. 1 black mana. To add 3 black mana to your mana pool, you basically gain 2 black mana from this. In competitive EDH games, speed is the key, and you can't deny the power of a Swamp Dark Ritual into a Necropotence on turn 1. And also, you could use your Dark Ritual to cast your Doomsday faster. And it's not just Storm decks that loves rituals. You're currently looking at a turn 2 Turbo Frog, turn 1 Forest and Elvish Mystic, turn 2 Swamp, tap Swamp, cast Dark Ritual, tap Elvish Mystic and Forest and cast the Gitrog monster on turn 2. And there is a huge amount of different rituals that are available, and it's also been a little bit of a switch. So currently red is the ritual color. In the beginning black was the ritual color, but these days we're seeing pretty much only red rituals printed. Yet, if you're looking hard enough, you can find rituals in almost every color, like this very old school energy tap. Tap a creature you control and add colorless mana to your mana pool equal to that creature's casting cost. In any case, the point that I'm trying to make is that you're gonna need rituals, you're gonna need speed. You're gonna need to be able to do what you wanna do fast, whatever it is that you wanna do it fast. So how many of these rituals, this instant speed mana to gain more mana, do I actually play? The simple answer is 0. I don't play any one of these Dark Rituals and Desperate Rituals or any of the cards we've currently seen. I don't even play them in actual Storm decks. Okay, I do play Dark Rituals and all these rituals in some Storm decks that can't function without them. But most Storm decks that I build don't actually play any real typical ritual. Now you might be skeptic, and I understand that. I've been making a point saying that rituals are important and you kinda have to play them. And yet I'm also saying I don't play any Dark Rituals. But I actually play a lot of a different type of ritual, a different style. Any card that will give you more mana than it costs is in the end a ritual. Sol Ring costs 1 mana, but will give you 2 mana. It's a ritual on the turn you cast it. The difference between Sol Ring and Dark Ritual is that you actually get to keep your Sol Ring. So if you're not really storming off this turn, you could use your Sol Ring upcoming turns and make your storm potential stronger the later on. And if you're really creative, you can find a lot of really cool rituals. So here we have Mana Vault, that is definitely a ritual, just like Sol Ring, a little bit better. 1 colorless mana to add 3 colorless mana. And in the corner you have a green card, Emerald Charm, 1 green mana. Untap target permanent. We can untap our Mana Vault. That means that it becomes a ritual, just like Dark Ritual. Okay, not exactly the same thing, but close enough. It needs synergy. Dark Ritual is good on its own, but Emerald Charm can do more things compared to Dark Ritual. Emerald Charm have 2 more abilities. One is to force a creature to lose flying. And that is kinda cute. It's not that good, but it could be used in some weird scenarios. The other one is to destroy an enchantment. Now the biggest counter to Storm are Rule of Law effects, like Arcane Laboratory and Eidolon of Rhetoric, and Emerald Charm can actually destroy both of these cards. Global enchantments are non-aura enchantments, by the way. Dark Ritual can't do that, so Emerald Charm will both be a ritual inside your Storm deck as well as an interaction against your opponents. Another ritual I really like is Crop Rotation. With Crop Rotation you sacrifice a land, then search your deck for any land and put that land into play. For example, you could find Bojuka Bog. That means that you can exile a graveyard in instant speed for only 1 green mana, and that is quite good. But you could also find a land that taps for more than 1 mana, for example Ancient Tomb. So in this case, Crop Rotation, if Ancient Tomb exists inside your deck somewhere, it becomes 1 green mana, add 2 colorless mana. Still on the topic of lands that tap for more than 1 mana, Frantic Search becomes a ritual if you just have 1 basic land with Utopia Sprawl enchanted onto it, or if you have Ancient Tomb in play. And Frantic Search is good enough to be played even though it's not a ritual. Drawing 2 cards and then discarding 2 cards for 0 mana is quite good, and if you gain 1 more mana netting plus 1 mana, then it becomes a ritual, a perfect card inside a Storm build. And if you're really creative with your build, it can go even further. So for example, let's cast Frantic Search for 3 mana using Ancient Tomb, and then untap Ancient Tomb, netting plus 1 mana. Then draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. And we discard Fate Stitcher to our graveyard. And then we pay 1 blue mana to unearth Fate Stitcher back from our graveyard into play. It's gonna die in the end of this turn, but we're gonna win this turn with our Storm build. And then we tap Fate Stitcher to untap our Ancient Tomb. But you could also look at Fate Stitcher as a really expensive mana dog for 4 mana that could potentially synergize great with Mana Vault, as you can untap Mana Vault over and over. It could also be a ritual with Mana Vault if you unearth it from your graveyard, but you could also tap Tymna and preventing her from attacking. Here is another ritual synergy I've grown quite fond of. So with Splendid Reclamation for 4 mana sorcery speed, we will return every land card we have in our graveyard back into play, tapped. So that is not a ritual, but with Squandered Resources, a permanent, an enchantment for 2 mana, you can sacrifice a land to add 1 mana of any color that land could produce. Now the beautiful thing about both of these 2 cards is that they are good on their own in some form of way as well, besides being a ritual. So with Splendid Reclamation's case, if you have 2 fetch lands inside your graveyard, it's equal to an Explosive Vegetation. 4 mana to gain 2 lands. That is not good, but it is something if you don't have anything better to do. And in Squandered Resources case, you could cast it the previous turn and then pass your turn, and then in your next turn you will keep it. It's an enchantment, it's gonna stick on your battlefield. Squandered Resources is not a consumable, it's a permanent, you get to keep it. Dark Ritual is a one-time use, it is a consumable, unless you are able to recast it from your graveyard with something like Yawgmoth's Will. Now this is probably a ritual style you already know of, but it's so strong that I'm gonna be showcasing it anyway, because it is actually that strong. With a lot of artifacts like Sol Ring that we already talked about that are rituals, there are a lot of variations to Sol Ring like Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Mox Diamond, Crow Mox and Mox Opal, etc, etc. And with any one of these 2 cards, there are more variations of these things, you can use your Chain of Vapor, target your Sol Ring, sacrifice a land, and then target your Mana Crypt to return both of them and then recast them, turning Chain of Vapor into a great ritual. But you could also use your Chain of Vapor against an opponent to force them to return a permanent. Hurl's Recall, or however you pronounce that, is the same thing. Target yourself and return all your artifacts back to your hand, and then recast all your ritual artifacts for more mana. The other 2 great variations to Hurl's Recall and Chain of Vapor are Paradoxal Outcome and Rebuild. With Paradoxal Outcome you will actually draw a lot of cards in the process as well. So Paradoxal Outcome is both a great card drawing source as a ritual. It will generate a tremendous amount of mana if you have a lot of rocks. And you can actually use one more thing with Paradoxal Outcome. You can use it to rescue cards your opponents want to destroy. So if you want to rescue your commander, you can do it with this thing and draw a card in the process. So it's both of a rescue, ritual, card drawing card for your Storm build. It's great. And in Rebuild's case, you can cycle it away. So if you don't really need it, if you can't storm off this turn and you're looking for better answers, then you can cycle it for 2 mana to gain a new card. If Dark Ritual is useless in your hand, you can't cycle it away. Now I just have to mention Carpet of Flowers because it actually is a ritual. You can cast this enchantment for 1 green mana in your first main phase, then proceed to your second main phase and you can activate it in your second main phase. And as long as one of your opponent has 2 or more islands in play, it will net you mana on the same turn you cast it. But as this is a permanent that will stick on your board state just like Sol Ring and all those other rocks, it will do something for you later on in the game. Now there are some more examples that I could be showcasing, but I think I've made my point. I'm currently looking at cards that could give me some form of ritual effect, but will also give me something else. Will be a permanent like Soldering, will either have a possibility of cycling itself away, replacing itself when it's useless, or have a different effect that I could use as a trick to give me a ritual. Now, why do I do this? I do this because I'm trying to increase my deck's strength in an overall, trying to find permanents that will make my deck more durable, but will also be rituals. Having cards that could be rituals but also have an interaction against my opponents, that is quite good, making my deck more versatile. But also cards that will be a ritual like Manamorphous, but will also draw a card, so I could actually just cast Manamorphous to just cycle it away to find new answers. But I'm not trying to say that Dark Ritual is bad. Actually, I do play Dark Ritual when the deck truly demands it. For my Storm deck to actually function, when I have to play Dark Ritual, I do play Dark Ritual, because the card is actually quite good. But it doesn't suit my personal playstyle. I like decks that have more durability and more interactions, and Dark Ritual doesn't really give me that. Sure, it gives me speed, but I could achieve speed with permanents the same way. Alright, so Dark Ritual actually gives me a lot of speed, but I could sacrifice a little bit of speed for more durability, more interaction and more consistency. That's what I think, at least. And if we go back to the scenario in the beginning of this video, when we would cast Necropotence on turn 1 with the help of a Dark Ritual, if an opponent responds with a Flusterstorm, we've currently lost 2 cards, meaning we kinda went a little bit all in. And I personally don't really like that, and that is how and why my transition on how I use and look at and try to utilize rituals these days. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video and it have helped you in some form of way. Take care, guys.